We will start the session from yesterday where we have left. Uh, we have yesterday we have completed what is meant by a single plate clutch. What are the functions of the plate clutch? Then we also learn about various types of other types of classification of clutches. Then basically we learn about how the single plate clutch works. What are the basic elements under the clutch system, and then we analyze the performance, the actual force requirement, as well as the torque transmission capacity of a particular clutch using two theories, that is uniform pressure theory and uniform wear theory. So in the last session, I could not present one slide on uniform pressure theory, so I'm repeating that slide, and then we will go for the next content of our discussion. So let's go to the torque analysis. This diagram you are already aware. This is the disengaged position, no contact here, and this is the engaged position. So there is a contact here. This is the plate. So this is the pressure plate. On this pressure plate, on both sides of this plate, the material is mounted. That is, friction material is mounted on this side and on this side. So this plate will have both side friction lining. So during construction, you have a choice. You can keep friction lining on one side, or you can keep friction lining on both sides. So here, this plate is connected to this shaft through this interface as well as through this interface, which is going again and going back to this plate here. So means whatever the force developed on this surface, and this surface causes a torque transmission to this driver or driven shaft. Okay, so this is a driver shaft. So this is a driven shaft. So when you engage this plate here, so some torque will be coming through this contact surface, and remaining torque is coming through this contact surface. So ideally, we divide that whatever torque is coming to this shaft now is coming half through this surface and half through this surface. But in reality, it is not true. Mostly more torque will be coming from the immediate contact, and less torque will be coming from the auxiliary contact. Okay, so how many surfaces are in contact, that will be decided by how we organize the plate system in the plate clutch system. Since it is single plate, you can have one surface in contact or maximum two surface in contact. But for multiple clutch system, you can have number of surface in contact. For single plate clutch system, you can have either one surface in contact, either this surface or this surface or both the surface. So for this diagram shows there are two surfaces in contact. Okay, this is very important when we are going for multiplex clutch system. Number of surfaces in contact is very much important. Let's go to the next slide. So this slide is already you all done, that how the torque analysis is done. So for torque analysis, we use this formula, and for axial force analysis, we use this formula, dW, and integration of this equation. So last time we have not completed the uniform pressure theory. Let's go to the uniform pressure theory formula. So here we are assuming now the pressure on this surface is constant. That is the intensity of the pressure, irrespective of the radius, it is constant there. So this single plate clutch analysis is for uniform pressure theory. So we are assuming here uniform pressure across the contacting surface. Here, wherever the contact takes place between that pressure plate and the other driven plates and this thing. So we are assuming across that surface, the pressure is remaining constant. That is, P is equal to constant. Now let's evaluate axial force requirement when your pressure is constant. So we know dW is equal to PdA, that is equal to 2 pi PR into dr. Now to determine the total axial force requirement, now this is the force required to keep your friction, your plate in engagement with a driving shaft. So this is the force to be developed by the actuating device. So actuating device here is your spring normally. So this much of force the spring has to provide on a small ring here, on this ring here. Suppose if you want to have entire contact here, entire surface area into the consideration, then total force will be equal to integration from radius R2 to R1, radius R2 to R1. So when if you put this value in this equation, since P is constant, so you can take this P outside this integration here. So we have 2 pi P uh, lower limit R2, higher limit R1 into RdR. So now integration of this is R square by 2. So that 2 will get cancelled out. So we have W is equal to, by putting upper limit and lower limit, pi P into R1 square minus R2 square, where R1 is the outside diameter radius and R2 is the inner radius. So from this, you either, if you know W, you can calculate what is the pressure requirement to transfer the torque, or if you know the permissible value or maximum allowable bearing pressure, and you know the geometry of your friction disc, so from that you can calculate how much is the axial force requirement. So these two formulas are complementary to each other. So we get the pressure requirement here is P is equal to W upon pi upon R1 square upon R2 square. Now the value of pressure depends upon the type of engagement there. There are two possibilities. That is, you can use a dry surface, or you can use the surface having oil there. So that is, you can have lubricating oil on the surface. So the P value for dry surface is slightly higher, and P value for wet surface or with lubricating oil, this P value is smaller. So the range of P value of P ranges from 0.05 Newton per millimeter square to maximum maybe around 2.5 Newton per millimeter square. But this bearing pressure or the pressure requirement here should not exceed 2.5 Newton per millimeter square. In exceptional cases, it can go up to 6 Newton per millimeter square. Okay, so this becomes a design parameter if you know the actual load requirement, or if you can assume this and you can calculate the actual load requirement. So from that actual load requirement, you can design the spring required there. So in machine design one, you all learn the spring design. So I'm not going to repeat that spring design, but if you ask, you can design the spring based on this W actual load here. Now total load requirement, total torque requirement by earlier our formula integration from DMT. So we are putting the value of torque from previous slide, that is 2 pi mu into R square dr. Now since P is constant, so we have taken P outside here. So integration of R square dr will be R cube by 3. That is 3 will come out. So the integration here is 2 by 3 pi mu P as it is into R1 raised to cube minus R2 raised to cube. So in this equation, we can put the value of pressure with respect to the actual load requirement value W. So by putting this value, the pi will get cancelled out, and finally you will have torque relation. This is the torque relation in terms of radius for uniform pressure theory, that is equal to 2 mu W upon 3 into R1 raised to cube minus R2 raised to cube upon R1 square minus R2 square. So this is an equation for torque carrying capacity of a clutch plate considering uniform pressure theory. This is very important. This equation is used for uniform pressure theory. Now there are so many objective questions. You will already written one test on objective question. So in this, you will be given a condition and you will be given so many formulae. Please select the appropriate value of torque transmitted by a clutch plate or single clutch plate or cone clutch based on the uniform pressure theory. So they will have different options. So one such option will be this. So you should select the right option. Now this option may be in terms of diameter also. In case of this will be DO by 2 and this will be DI by 2. So that R1 will be DO by 2 and R2 will be DI by 2. So this formula you have to convert in terms of diameter as and when required. So you can convert and you can use it here. The last session, this we could not cover because of we were not having this slide there. Then we have uniform wear theory. This part we have seen in the last, so I am not going to repeat. Just I am showing you the torque carrying capacity. The formula, their formula different. This formula is different. This is the simplest formula for uniform wear theory. This formula is for uniform wear theory, and the earlier formula. So this formula, uniform pressure theory, this is slightly complicated. So please remember, the formula for uniform wear theory is simple compared to formula for uniform pressure theory. Now, we already in the last session, I have explained why to go for uniform wear theory. So considering uniform wear theory is very important theory because your product will not be fresh and there is no possibility that you will have uniform pressure across this lining surface. So the pressure will vary. So as this pressure varies, so you need to design, you need to check the torque carrying capacity based on the varying pressure there. So let's go to the considering uniform wear theory. Let's check what is the maximum torque carrying capacity of a particular single plate clutch based on its inside and outside diameter ratio. So my next slide is to check the characteristic of torque characteristic. So we are having here single plate clutch analysis. We are using here uniform wear theory, and we are going to check what is the condition for maximum torque. So when we will have maximum torque transmitted through that plate system, considering uniform wear theory. Okay, so we have uniform wear theory. As per uniform wear theory, our for uniform wear, that P into R has to be constant. Then only the uniform wear will happen across that radial surface. Otherwise, the wear will not be uniform. So from this, what we can write, P into R is equal to P1 is equal to R1. P1 R1 is equal to P2 R2. So from this, we considering inside radius R2, inside pressure P2, which is maximum. So P2 is equal to P max. That is equal to, we have already written this formula, W is equal to 2 pi R2 into R1 minus R2. This formula is available in previous slide. Then we have torque carrying capacity formula. This is available in the previous slide for uniform wear. That is MT is equal to mu W by 2 into R1 plus R2. Now we are analyzing, we are replacing this R1 and R2 with respect to the inside and outside diameters here. Let's R1 we write as a outside diameter by 2 and R2 we write as a inside diameter by 2. So consider R1 is equal to dO by 2 and R2 is equal to di by 2. So let's put these values in the equation of torque here. We are putting these values in the equation here. Now we are putting this value not in this equation. We are putting in the previous equation. I am showing that equation. This is my equation here. This is your equation. So you are going to put these values in this equation here. MT is equal to this equation. Pi mu into P2 R2 into R1 square minus R2 square. So in this, we are going to put the value of P2 also. So this value we are going to put there. Let's go and check here. So we have here mu into 2 pi into P2 R2. R2 is di by 2, so di by 2 into we are putting this value of W here. So this value of W is put here. So by putting that value of W, if you see that value of W is equal to P2 into 2 pi into R2. In R2 means it is di by 2 into R1 minus R2. So R1 is again dO by 2 minus di by 2. So this equation, so in this equation, mu W is completely written here from this equation. W is equal to this, P2 into this value. So this value we have put it here completely. Then RO is dO by 2 and R2 is di by 2. So plus sign will be there and divided by 2 is there as it is. So from this, now we simplify this equation. P2 is nothing but your Pmax. So we are putting the P2 is as a Pmax or permissible, maximum permissible pressure there. Then we say find out this 2 and 2 gets cancelled out. Then there are 1, 2 here, 1, 2 here. When you take 1 by 2 outside here, so this will be dO minus di. And here also if you take 1 by 2 outside, then it will be dO plus di. So 1 by 2 here, 1 by 2 here, and already 1 by 2 here. So that will become, this product will become as 8. These two and these two has cancelled out. So what we have now, mu into pi into P max into di, and this do minus di plus do plus di, that product is do square minus di square. So this is the torque relation. This is the torque relation considering uniform wear theory with maximum pressure permitted with inside and outside diameter of your friction disc. With inside and outside diameter of your friction disc. This is a very important formula. Now in this formula, let we define this di with respect to do. Now when this torque will be maximum, when we have say normally what happens when we design any system, there is always space constraint, and you cannot increase length too much, you cannot increase the diameter too much. So when we are designing a single plate clutch system and you are using in particular application, there may be the available space and there may be limit on that maximum diameter permitted at that place. So in that case, there is a limit on this outside diameter, du. So within that constrained space, how we can transfer maximum torque or maximum power. So that will be decided by now then di. So then what should be the relation between do and di for maximum torque carrying capacity? So that condition we are going to check. So to identify that condition, let's use di is equal to y do. Y is an factor here. So di will be taken as fraction of do. So this y value will range from 0 to 1 depending upon the requirement. So let's put this value in this equation here. In this equation, so we have phi mu as it is, P max as it is. Di will be replaced by y do. So this is y do value into here we are taking do square outside. So what will have 1 minus di by do square. Again, di by do is nothing but y. So if you take this do on this side, so di by do is y. So this di by do square means nothing but y square. So when you write this value here, we have mu pi into P max into do cube. That is this do and this do square will be multiplied here. So that becomes do cube in y is it is here. So y into 1 minus y square upon a. So in this condition, this is the torque condition based on the value of y, that is how much inside diameter you have taken with respect to the outside diameter do. That is y is equal to di by do. So that is in proportion. So for maximum torque condition, if I take this equation here and differentiate this equation with a variable say y, so a ratio factor variable y, so that first derivative should be equal to 0. So if I take a partial derivative of dabba by dabba y of mt, that should be equal to 0. So I am not going to change mu, I am not going to change pressure, I am not going to change the outside diameter. So this becomes constant. So what is variable? The variable for torque carrying capacity at this moment is only this y factor. That is nothing but your inside diameter. You can vary here. So you can take the derivative of only this part, partial derivative of this part, and equate it to 0 to get the maximum, the condition for maximum torque. So I am taking that condition here and putting here. So dabba by dabba y into y into 1 minus y square will be equal to 0. So if I multiply here inside, so this is y minus y cube, and differentiation of y minus y cube will be differentiation of y is 1 and differentiation of y cube is minus this minus sign is there, that is 3y square. And this has to be equated, first derivative has to be equated for a maximum condition. So this has to be equal to 0. So from this we can get to know y is equal to, now this 3y square will come on side, so plus 3y square will become here. So on this side 1. Now y square will become as 1 by 3, and then y will become as 1 by 3 square root. So if you take the square root of 1 by 3, you get a ratio factor for which there is a chance that your torque carrying capacity will be maximum. So what is that value of y? So if we solve this equation, we get y is equal to 0.577. What it indicates? If you keep a ratio of inside diameter of your friction disc with respect to the outside diameter in the range 0.577, then that clutch can transmit maximum torque. So that is maximum torque condition. For maximum torque condition, your inside diameter of your friction disc has to be YDO. That is Y value should be equal to 0.577. Means your inside diameter should be 0.577 times DO. So this is the ideal inside diameter condition for maximum torque to be transmitted by that clutch system. Okay, so let's take say from this what we come to know. We have this y value ranging from, so di y is nothing but di by do. So y value, minimum y value will be 0 and maximum y value will be equal to 1. Why? Because there may not be inside radius. There will be entire friction lining on that say the surface. So in that case, di will be equal to 0. So di by do, that is y will become 0 there. There may be chances there is no friction lining and your inside radius is equal to outside radius. So di by do may become equal to 1. So when your y value varies from 0 to 1, so when you vary this y value from 0 to 1, so this torque carrying capacity is going to change. So now then this product y into 1 minus y square, this becomes your torque characteristic number in for the plug. Now this fraction here, y into 1 minus y square, this product, this part, small part is called as characteristic number here, that is called torque characteristic number. Let's take this torque characteristic number and plot this torque characteristic number for different values of y. So in the next slide, I have done that calculation and I have plotted in chart. So you can look at the chart. Okay, so this is a single plate clutch analysis, uniform wear theory. We are checking out the condition for maximum torque from previous slide. And this is where torque variation for diameter ratio. We have taken different diameter ratios. On y-axis, I have plotted torque characteristic number. That torque characteristic number is equal to y into 1 minus y square into the bracket. And on x-axis, we have the diameter ratio, inside diameter to outside diameter ratio, which is ranging from 0 to 1. And from this diagram, if you see this graph here, there is a maxima point somewhere here. There is a maxima point somewhere here. So if you come down here, so the maxima occurs around 0.577. So this graph is correct. So this graph tells that if you have uh, uh, diameter ratio between 0 to 0.577, so as you increase your diameter ratio, your torque carrying capacity increases. Your torque carrying capacity increases. But this increases only up to certain point, that is your torque carrying capacity increases around 0.577, and after that you have maximum torque carrying capacity number here. After that, if further increase in inside diameter, if you increase your di by keeping do same, and suppose if you come to 0.7 here, what we find again there is a decrease in the torque characteristic number, means that will decrease your torque carrying capacity of your clutch. So initially, by increasing inside radius or inside diameter, you can increase the torque carrying capacity of your clutch system. But further increase will destroy the your torque carrying capacity. And you can see here it is almost linear path, but latter portion, once you achieve the maximum point, there is a very large slope. You can see there is a sudden decrease in the decrease in your torque characteristic number, means as you increase your inside diameter, there is a sudden drop in the torque carrying capacity of that clutch system. So whenever we design the torque, we should not exceed that inside radius value greater than 0.577. Please remember, because that will have a detrimental effect on your torque carrying capacity. Now let's go to the a simple sum where you can understand this concept very well, how these sums are used. I have taken one page sum. They are not asked in the examination, but understanding of this sum will help you to design the things properly when we are going for the multiplate clutch system. Okay, so let's take one sum here. So I have taken first exercise. Let's say take exercise number 1. I'm reading the exercise number. An automotive single plate clutch system We have a single plate plus system consisting of two pairs of contacting surface. I have told, even though there is only one plate, there are two surfaces in contact, one backside surface and one front side surface. You can say the front and back, two pairs are in contacting surface. The outer diameter of this friction disc is 270 mm. The outside diameter of this friction disc is 270 mm. The coefficient of friction is 0.3, and the maximum intensity of the pressure is 0.3 Newton per millimeter square. So this data is given in the problem. The clutch is transmitting a torque value, torque of 531 Newton meter. So torque value is also given. So assuming uniform wear theory, so they have been asked to use uniform wear theory and calculate. You have to calculate here the inner diameter of the friction disc, and second, the spring force required to keep the clutch engaged. What is the minimum spring force required so that the clutch remains in the engaged condition? Okay, so in this problem, I am writing down the given data. So in the given data, we have friction disc having outside diameter here. The outside diameter here is 270 mm. That is, DO is equal to 270 mm. Then in this problem, the coefficient of friction, that is mu is given as 0.3. So mu is given as 0.3. Now in this problem it is given, but in your problem, suppose it is not given, then you have to refer a data book. In that data book, for given material, you have to select a friction lining material, and based on the friction lining material, you will get the value of coefficient of friction, and that value you can use in the design calculation. Here in this problem it is given, so directly we have coefficient of friction as 0.3. Then maximum intensity of the pressure, since we are going for uniform wear theory, so there will be maximum concept, average concept. So if it is uniform pressure theory, then it is average pressure, and if it is a uniform wear theory, then there is a permissible maximum pressure intensity, which normally happens at the inside radius or inside diameter. So that value is given as 0.3 Newton per millimeter square. So small p or p max is equal to here 0.3 Newton per millimeter square. Now, if you see the, say, whenever you read the problem, always read properly. So otherwise you will make a mistake. You see here, an automotive single plate consists of two pairs of contacting surface. So it is saying two pairs, means whatever the torque is transmitted, it is transmitted through the two pairs of contact. So one pair will transmit half of this contact, half of this torque. So that's why the torque transmitted here, torque transmitted. So since there are two contact surface, torque transmitted by one surface will be equal to MT is equal to total torque transmitted divided by number of contact surface here. So for single plate plus system, you will have maximum this value as 2, but minimum value will be equal to 1. For multi-plate plus system, this number of contact surface, there is a formula. So when we will be learning the multi-plate plus system design using PhD, I will show that formula, how to use that formula also. So in that case, this value will be greater than 2, 3, 4, 5. It can go up to even 20. This number of contact surface, depending upon the torque transmission, this value can go up to even 19 to 20 here. Now, since it is single plate, so it can have either 1 or 2. So since there are two pairs in contact, so we have to take divide by 2. So torque transmitted by single surface, now it is 265.5. This is in Newton millimeter. So you have to convert into Newton millimeter. So you have to multiply by 10 raised to 3 here. So this is 265.5 into 10 raised to 3. Now this is the torque to be transmitted by single pair of surface. For single pair of surface, for uniform wear theory, for single pair of surface for uniform wear theory, this formula is there. So this formula in previous slide we have written, that is mu pi P max into DO cube into y into 1 minus y square upon 0.8. Now, since we don't know the y value, why we don't know the value of y? Because we don't know the inside diameter, because that is inner diameter is the unknown value here you are going to determine. So whatever the known values in this equation, put that and determine this unknown value of y here. So we have MT now 265.5 into 10 raised to 3. Mu value 0.3, that is 0.3 here. Then pi as it is. P max given in the problem is 0.3 Newton per millimeter square. Then outside diameter here is 270 mm. So this is in 0.3 Newton per meter square. So you can take this DO in millimeter. Every unit has to be converted into the similar unit. So 270 mm, 270 raised to cube. Y is unknown, 1 minus y square divided by 8. Now, if we try to solve this equation, we get this equation y into 1 minus y square is equal to 0.38165. If we reorganize this equation, so if we take this entire thing on the right side and rewrite that thing, so what we have y into y square coming on this side, that minus will become plus, so that is equal to y cube. Then y coming on this side will become as minus y plus 0.38165 is equal to 0. So left side will be equal to 0 here. Now you have to solve this cubic equation. So how to solve this cubic equation? You can use your calculator to solve this cubic equation. Or I'm using here our internet to solve this equation. I'm showing you how these answers have come. Let's take this answer. Can you see the screen? Shall I enlarge? Let me enlarge the screen so you can see that. So this is one app. I'm using Calculator Soup app. So you can solve this equation of the order of 3. So okay. Plus d is equal to 0. So this is a cubic equation. Now let's compare this equation with respect to our equation and write down the coefficient of the equation from our equation. What is the value of a? So there it is y cube. So a is equal to 1. So we will put the value of a as 1. Then there is no term of y square there. So b value in our equation is 0. Then c value, cx, that means cy. So the c value there is minus 1. So coefficient of y there is minus 1. So minus 1. And the coefficient of d, you can see the coefficient of d in that equation. The coefficient of d in that equation is 0.38165. So if we come down here and plot that value, 0.38, 0.38165. So this is the value. So let's calculate. So we are calculating. So after calculation, since it is a cubic equation, there are 3 routes possible. So 3 solutions it is providing. So there are 3 solutions. One such solution is x1 is equal to 0.62. Second solution is minus 1.15. Third solution x3 is equal to 0.3347. Now, in this solution, out of these 3 solutions, which is correct solution, which solution we should take? Now, in this equation, for this equation, there is no negative solution, please remember. So there are chances you may get a complementary equation also. So no complementary solution, no negative solution for this, because it is a fraction and the fraction has to be between 0 to 1. So any value greater than 1, we have to reject. So we are rejecting the solution x2 here. Okay. So y1, y2, y3. So this solution I have written on my presentation so that you can see it properly. Let's go to the presentation. So now let's check this value. We have y1 value as 0.6204. Y2 value was minus 1.15 and y3 value was 0.53347. Now since the y factor, if you see your diagram, your y factor is here. So in this y factor minimum value is 0, maximum value is 1. So your solution that y2 is equal to minus 1.15 is not acceptable. Means the thing, the value itself is greater than 1, which is not acceptable. Again, the sign value to this is minus, so it is not acceptable. So directly you can reject the solutions which are greater than 1 and which are negative. All these such solutions you can remove. So we have cancelled out this part now. So you can cancel out y2. So what is left out? Y1 and y3. Now whether I should select y1 or y2, y3. So selecting y1 is not wrong. Selecting y3 is also not wrong. But look at this diagram again. If you look at this diagram again here, one value is 0.53 here, another value is 0.62 somewhere here. So what will happen if your inside radius wears out, your inside radius part is wearing out when you are operating, suppose it wears out and it becomes increases. If it is here, if your radius increases, means this factor will come here. So there is a chance your torque carrying capacity value will increase if you select that value lower value here. If you select that higher value of y and if your inside radius wears out and then your ratio will come here, then there is a chance your torque carrying capacity will decrease. So that's why, that is the reason, if you have this value here very close to 0.577, both the values are very close to the 0.577, but if you select this value and if there is a wear happening, there is a chance in future your torque carrying capacity will decrease. But with this y3 value, with respect to the wear, initially your torque carrying capacity will increase. So considering this fact, an advantage of using both values are very close to 0.577, I select y3 as a final solution. So therefore, inner diameter of friction disc I am taking as di is equal to y do, and now this y I have taking the value of y3 here, that is equal to 0.53347 do, and by putting this value we get inside diameter as 144 mm. If you would have taken this y1 value 0.62, it is not wrong, but theoretically it is correct. But in practical, if you look at the future prospect, then this selection is wrong. Suppose it would have been this value is 0.62 and this value is very, very low, say 0.3. Then we will not select 0.3 because it will have lower torque carrying capacity. Then in that case, we will select 0.62 in that case. So how far from your maximum value of 0.577? Because why the maximum value permitted is around 0.577. So your value should be in that range or around. Now you have to calculate next is spring force required to keep the clutch engaged. How much minimum force is required by the spring so that your clutch remains always engaged to the driver shaft. So this formula we have already known there, that is equal to 1/2 pi P max into di, that is into do minus di. So this formula is applicable from the uniform wear theory. So from uniform wear theory, this axial force requirement. So this axial force requirement. So P max is 0.33. DI you have calculated right now 144 mm. So DO is 270 minus 144. So you required the force requirement around 8.55 kilonewton. That is 8550 newton. So if you provide axial force, if your springs provide axial force of 8550 newton, then your clutch will remain always in engaged condition. Now there may be doubt. Shall we have so much big spring to provide this force? No. You need not to have one single spring there. You can have multiple number of springs there. So you can divide this force into the multiple number of springs arranged in a parallel to each other. So you can increase the stiffness when you keep the springs in parallel. Then the stiffness value increases, and automatically for small deformation of delta x, the large force can be applied there. So if you use say 4, then each spring will provide 8550 upon 4 Newton force. So depending upon the force requirement, the size of the spring to be used into the application, number of springs are used. Normally 4 springs, minimum 3 springs are used. 2 springs very rarely used, but minimum 3 springs are used when your diameter is greater than 100 mm, outside diameter is greater than 100 mm. And if your outside diameter is increasing, then the number of springs may be used, may go up to 6 to 8. Number of springs to be used in the clutch can go up to 6 to 8. So depending upon the total axial load, number of springs are used. So in this condition, you may have to use maybe 4 to 6 springs. Okay, so this is one such simple problem. Similarly, another small problem. Let's take the another small problem. So exercise 2 here. So let's learn this. And single plate clutch consists of one pair of contact surface. Here, only one side of that plate is contacting to the driving shaft. So only one surface is in contact. The inner and outer diameter of the friction disc are 125 and 250 mm respectively. Inside diameter is 125 and outside diameter of the clutch, your friction disc is 250 mm. The coefficient of friction at the contact surface is 0.25 and the total axial load, here the total axial load applied or provided by the spring is 15 kilonewton. Calculate the power transmitting capacity of the clutch at 500 rpm. Your shaft is rotating at 500 rpm. So calculate the power transmitting capacity using, there are two methods you have to use. One is uniform wear theory and another is uniform pressure theory. Okay, so let's write down the given data as it is. So in this given data, we have outside diameter 250 mm, inside diameter 125 mm. Then coefficient of friction here in this case is 0.25. Axial load given here is 15 kilonewton, that is 15,000 newton. Then the speed of the shaft here is 500 rpm. Okay, so let's take first case, that is uniform wear theory. For uniform wear theory, we have this formula, mu torque transmitted is equal to mu W upon 2 into Rho plus Ri. So Rho and Ri I can express in terms of dO and dy. So that is mu W into dO plus di, that is dO by 2 plus di by 2. So that 2 will come out here. So 2 into 2 will become as 4 here. So mu W upon dO upon di upon 4. Let's put the value of mu W, dO and di in this equation. So mu is 0.25. W is 15,000 Newton. Then dO given as 250 mm. So 250 mm. Then di is 125 mm. So we get the torque here. Since this value is in millimeter, this value is in Newton. So my torque value will be in Newton millimeter. So torque in Newton millimeter here is 351.56 Newton millimeter. Now this can be converted into Newton meter. So the torque in Newton meter is 351.56 Newton meter. Divided by 100 here, you will get in Newton meter. So this is the torque transmitted considering uniform wear theory. Therefore, power transmitted in this case for uniform wear theory will be equal to, this is the power rating in kilowatts, that is equal to 2 pi n mt upon 60,000, where n is in RPM, mt is in Newton meter. So let's put this value. So 2 pi, n is 500 RPM, and mt from this calculation it is 351.56. So 351.56 upon 60,000. So if you use uniform wear theory, then we can say power rating of our clutch is around 18.41 kilowatts. So power rating of this clutch is 18.41 kilowatts based on uniform wear theory. Similarly, we can determine the power rating of clutch based on uniform pressure theory. So our uniform pressure theory formula, mt is equal to 2 mu W upon 3 into R1 cube minus R2 cube upon R1 square minus R2 square. So R1 stands for outside radius, R2 stands for inside radius. You can replace this in terms of inside and outside diameter. And if you do this analysis, what we get here, that 2 gets cancelled out here. That is here 1 by 2 cube upon 1 by 2 square. So there, after that, if we take that 1 by 2 here and 1 by 2 here outside, so what is left out is only 1 by 2. And this 2 is there, so 1 by 2 and 2, that 2 gets cancelled out. So what we left is mu W upon 3 into dO cube minus di cube upon dO square minus di square. Now in this equation, now we know everything, so we can calculate the torque carrying capacity by uniform pressure theory. So mu is 0.25, W is 15,000 divided by 3, then dO 250 and di 125. So 250 cube minus 125 cube upon 250 square minus 125 square. So if you do this calculation, if you do the correct calculation, we get this value as 364.58 Newton millimeter. And then you can convert into Newton meter divided by 1000 here. So this is 364.58 Newton meter. Now this is the torque carrying capacity using uniform pressure theory. Therefore, power transmitted considering uniform pressure theory, power rating will be 2 pi nt upon 60,000. So 2 pi and 500, and mt here now by uniform pressure theory 364.58. So this value comes out to be 19.08 kilowatt. So in the last lecture I have told, if you are using uniform pressure theory, when to use, and uniform wear theory, when to use. Uniform pressure theory is used only when your plates are brand new. Your surfaces, friction surfaces are brand new. You are replacing your friction lining surface or plate surface, or plate itself, complete plate, pressure plate also you are replacing. Then you can use uniform pressure theory. And you found that whenever we have a brand new clutch, the torque carrying capacity is better. Otherwise, if there is an excess load, then your clutch starts slipping. So when your clutch wears out, then uniform wear theory is applicable. So uniform wear theory, if you use uniform wear theory, the power rating of your clutch decreases, and that decreased value is around 18.41. So this is with, say, uniform pressure theory. That is, say, when your clutch is brand new, it will transmit 19.08 kilowatt, and as it wears out, it will transmit 18.41 kilowatt. But in most of the application, in design application and this thing, normally uniform wear theory is used. Very rarely uniform pressure theory will be used. This problem I have taken so that you understand what is the basic difference between uniform wear theory and uniform pressure theory. Okay, so if your brand new plate is there, this much power can be transmitted. As your plate becomes old, your power transmission capacity decreases. It comes down to 18.41. So there may be 2 to 5% drop in the power transmitting capacity. So this is very important, because what happens when you are coupling engine with a gearbox and then with application, engine has a fluctuation of the torque, and if your fluctuation of the torque happens, the power to be transmitted through the gearboxes as well as through the application, load changes, then it will have impact on your clutch system. So clutch, if there is a overload, there is a chances the clutch may, clutch plates may bend, clutch plates may break. So whenever we design any system, we design a weak system in the, we keep one element weak, so that if there is a overload or anything happens, that should fail first. We will not see that our gear should fail first. So since we are coupling engine with gearbox and gearbox with application, so our gearbox should remain intact. Our application machine should not fail. Our engine should not fail. So what is connecting engine and gearbox is connected with the help of plate plus system or plus system. So in any loading condition, say any offshoot condition, our clutch plate should fail, our clutch material should fail, or it should slip. Initially it should slip. Suppose further overload relay load is there, then in that case your plate may fail. So whenever you are driving bike or car, whenever you are driving bike and car, you are pressing the pedal. So you means what? Before, when you are starting your car, you are pressing your clutch pedal. So you are disengaging your machinery. What we are disengaging your car mechanism, transmission mechanism from your engine. Otherwise, what will happen? There will be very huge load on the engine, and there is a chances your engine may burst also. So to avoid engine failure, you have to disengage your car, you have to press a pedal. So you are disengaging the clutch. So you are allowing your engine to develop sufficient torque to get a sufficient speed. Once your engine gets a particular speed, then slowly you start releasing the pedal. That clutch pedal you start releasing the slowly, so that the power can be transmitted from your engine to the gearbox, and from gearbox to the rear wheel or front wheel, depending on your power transmission system. So then your car will start moving from say stationary to forward condition. Second time you are pressing pedal when you are changing the speed. That moment your car is moving. So now if you want to change the gear, if you directly change, then the gears will fail. because there will be suddenly when you change the speed gear, there is a change in the torque requirement. So that will make cause your gears to fail. So what you do first, you first press the pedal, clutch pedal. So you disengage engine and gearbox, and as you disengage the gearbox from the engine, easily you can shift your this thing. You can easily shift gear, and once you shift that gear, then you easily slowly release the pedal. Again, engagement happens. So whenever you are pressing that pedal, you require to supply a large amount of force to the pedal through a mechanical advantage, and then only that clutch will be engaged. So how much force you have to supply? That force you have to supply, which should be greater than, if you go to the previous diagram, here, the load requirement, that is the spring force requirement. So when you are pressing the pedal, you have to supply a force there to separate this force, spring force. So your force should be greater than the spring force. So now if you see, can a person apply 8550 Newton force, single person weight, suppose my weight is say 80 kg, so 80 into 10, that is 800 Newton force is my weight. Even if I sit on a pedal, maximum 800 Newton force I can apply. Then how will I actuate this mechanism? So for that you have to use a lever mechanism. There is a lever mechanical advantages are used. So when we are designing clutch, there are the levers, bell crank levers are there, and then transmission levers are there. So these bell crank levers, their mechanical advantage range from 1:2 to 1:20 or 1:100 depending upon the requirement. So if I have say 1:20 mechanical advantage, then I can say 8550 upon 20, this much force I have to apply by pedal, and that may be possible. I can apply that 40 kgf load, that is around 400 Newton. So when I press by foot, I can apply in the range from 25 to 50 kgf load. If I pressing by a hand, any mechanism, then I can apply a force between 10 to 30 kgf. If I pressing a button by a finger, I can apply a force in the range of around 0.5 kgf to maximum 2 or 3 kgf. So your control devices will be designed such that you can apply your appropriate force, and that appropriate force will be magnified to meet the spring separation requirement for the spring force. Spring force is 8550 Newton, so you should apply at least 9000 Newton so that the disengagement can happen there. Okay, so this is regarding the single plate clutch analysis. Simple sums I have taken here to understand the basic concept of single plate. Next class we are going for design of multi-plate clutch system using PHG data book. So the nomenclature in the PHG is slightly different than whatever I have used there. So for problem solving using PHG, we will use the nomenclature of PHG. I will upload that data in the classroom, so that next class we can solve a problem on a multi-plate clutch system design using PHG. So if you have any doubt, I have completed from my side. If you have any doubt, you can unmute yourself and ask the doubt, or you can put in chat box.